There's a wonderful story about Bruichladdich Distillery and the people that restarted those mothballed relic buildings, worn out equipment, and the tired casks that is portrayed in Greg Swartz's documentary, Water of Life. A group of private investors led by wine merchants Mark Reynier and Simon Coughlin of Marie McDavid purchased the mothballed distillery on December 19, 2000 for £6.5 million. A key part of that operation was the hiring of Jim McKewan, a longtime employee, master distiller, and production director from Bowmore Distillery across the bay. This story goes back farther to 1881 when the brothers William and Robert Harvey chose Islay to build their new state-of-the-art distillery in the summer of 1881. After a family dispute, William took control and ran Bruichladdich until his death in 1935. After a long, rocky road of owners and closures, White and McKay finally mothballed it in 1994. Between January and May 2001, the entire distillery was dismantled and reassembled, keeping the original Victorian equipment that the Harvey brothers had installed back in 1881. They had to salvage and rebuild old stills and other equipment from other distilleries. No computers are used, and the system is handled by the skilled employees that are still using the old-style gauges and simple flotation devices. In July 2012, Rainey Cointreau purchased Bruichladdich Distillery for £58 million. Mark Reynier has moved on to starting up the Waterford Distillery in Ireland. In 2015, Jim McKewan left Bruichladdich and has helped the new Islay Distillery Ardenhoe get started, as well as the Cape Byron Distillery in Australia. His assistant at Bruichladdich, Adam Hannett, took over as the Master Distiller. The distillery is situated on the Rhinns Peninsula of Islay, looking across the bay at the Bowmore Distillery, one of the oldest distilleries in Scotland. I highly recommend you watch the documentary, Water of Life. Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey, and tonight I am going to go after something that's been in the cupboard for a while. I did cover Bruichladdich quite a while ago, and I missed this guy because I was mostly focused on their peated, the Port Charlotte, and I think it was the Pack 2. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I think it was the wine cask strength Port Charlotte that I did. So here we've got the Classic Laddie, non-peated. It is 50%, and basically we're talking non-age statement, though there is some tidbits on it. Bruichladdich Distillery, Water of Life, Greg Swartz's documentary, award-winning documentary, fantastic documentary, really worth you watching. If you get the opportunity, you have to see that movie. It's got a lot of interesting characters in it. Jim McKewan coming over from Bowmore, Mark Reynier from the wine industry working with him, and some incredible characters and people of the industry that get involved on their comments on both the Scotch whisky industry, as well as Bruichladdich, and how it was affected by companies buying it and then mothballing it, and you've got massive unemployment for that area because everybody in that area depends on the distillery for their income, indirectly or directly. So, but anyways, a very interesting film. And I am now covering something that's been in the cupboard for quite a while, the Classic Laddie. Non-age statement, basically some wild colors. I think this is a marketing thing. It's going to obviously stand out. You can't help but see it on the shelf. Very bright turquoise color, Classic Laddie. So normally I get to show you a bit of the color of the whiskey, but not in this case. I guess some people would say it's a beautiful bottle. So anyways, certainly we will get a chance to look at the whiskey. A non-age statement, the story on this, Adam Hannett, he took over
the distillery from Jim McKewan, who got it going, and I think he follows some of the same, stuff Jim McKewan, but he did go his own direction. And I think part of it here is it's a vatted whiskey. It's a mix of casks, and he's not going to identify which cask, but they are. The original one was 5-6-year-old, and then 12-13-year-old. It could now be 7 to 8. I'm probably still the 12-13-year-old. We're talking mostly bourbon, but then he likes to finish off. There might be a lack of consistency in this whiskey because he's going to play around and he's going to be testing this stuff, and it could be finished off, and that's what he likes to finish it off in wine casks. So they do have access to a lot of wine casks. They focused a lot on wine casks when Mark Reynier and Jim McKewan was at the helm. So anyways, let's give it a pour, and we can sort of say it's a vatted whiskey of casks of mostly bourbon, and in terms of the longer maturity, but the finishing maturity could be numerous wine casks, which they're from the Paula, Bordeaux area, throughout France. They could be using any one of those casks, so it's not necessarily sherry. It could be Sauvignon casks. Cabernet. It could be anything. So, anyways, let's give it a bit of a look here and just see. Give you some of the color of it here. And of course, I like to do a little bit of. Let's get it away from the camera here so we can get a good look at the legs there, and see if you can get a bit of a focus on those legs. So there you are. Okay, interesting color, kind of a tea color. So we'll start off with the nose. We do have our Trudeau glass here, so good glass for nosing. So this was supposed to be exclusive. Well, Scottish barley, we know that, and some local barley and local maltings. And I'm not sure how much of the malting they're doing on their own floor toward these whiskeys, but because they can't do all their whiskeys with their own malting floor. But there is Port Ellen, which is now a little more of a difficulty today, because I hear that Diageo, which owns Port Ellen, is restricting the maltings now. They're focusing more on their own distilleries. It's got a rich nose. Definitely vanilla notes there. Vanilla, cinnamon, and we've got a little bit of the dough, almost like a bread dough, almost like sourdough, but wee bit of a spice going on here too. Like I say, the cinnamon, but I think there's a little bit of allspice thrown in there too. Baking spices. Okay, let's get at the palate here. Haven't had this in a while, and for 50%, I think I said 50% ABV. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, 50% ABV. It's not bad. I'm not getting a lot of burn. I'm not sure how full that bottle is. With the half full, I'm going to have to check it out and see. But definitely sweet. It's a sweet whiskey. It's got not just the vanilla notes now. I think I'm getting more of that rich honey. Oh boy. I'm going to say probably the Manuka honey. Yeah. And, well, there's some lemon stuff going on there too, so let's throw a little bit of lemon in with that honey. Yeah, we're gonna give it another shot there. Lemon cough drops. But not bitter lemon cough drops, more the sweet lemon cough drops, not Vicks. And the wood, a little bit of the wood. I didn't think I'd get any of the wood, but I'm getting a little bit of the wood. Definitely no smoke, no peat. I'm going to go back to the baking spices. Yeah, we're getting the baking spices and cereal notes now. Wee bit of grassiness. Okay, let's go for the finish here. It's got a 50% there. It's got a decent finish. You know, I'm gonna put it in the short medium range. I'm definitely now getting a little bit more of the spice. I'm going to stay with the baking spices, but there is a little bit of that cinnamon lingering there too. And I'm going to stay with the cereal notes. Wee bit of licorice, just a wee bit, but there's definitely, I don't think, any smoke there, so just a wee bit of licorice there, but more the sweet licorice. So, but I'm going to top it up there. We're going to add a little bit of water to it. See what the water does to it. You know, it's 50%. Good Lord, we can play with a little bit of water. So there's a lot of history to this. You know, I did follow this distillery for, you know, in the beginning, especially after getting a chance to watch that movie Water of Life. And Jim McKewans, certainly a fascinating fellow, well known in the industry, well respected. I think between him and Mark Reynier, who now is at Waterford, has got a distillery over in Ireland, and is producing. He's into the terrier. He's from wine, you know. What they, you know, that you've got the earth, you've got the soil. You've got the grain growing, or you've got the vineyard growing. I remember getting some Parmesan cheese from a friend, brought it back from Tuscany, and that's exactly how he described it. This is one kind of cheese because it's from the cow's milk, eating that grass from that soil, and you won't get that taste of cheese anywhere else in the world. And I must admit, I've never tasted Parmesan like that. So, but that was his story. And I see how, you know, those that have worked in that industry for a long time, and we're seeing more people that are involved in the whiskey industry focused on that area of the soil, the land, you know, how it affects the growth of the barley, that specific type of barley. In fact, when they were interviewing some of the farmers, and they were letting them drink some of the whiskey from their barley, because they actually isolated the different farms where they were getting the barley from. And there's a distillery over here on Vancouver Island in Canada, Shelter Point Distillery. They do the same thing. They produce a whiskey where they can actually give the actual long and latitude of the location of that barley from that particular farm. So interesting. Now let's get into the water here. I do believe that this distillery is finally doing pretty darn good. I mean, it's a popular distillery. I've sort of backed away a bit from it. I'm not as much, certainly not as much today as I was in the beginning. I mean, I have the Octomores, I have the 10, the Port Charlotte 10 and that. You know, you kind of wander around a bit because you've got a lot of different whiskeys that you're reviewing, and also I like not just Scottish whiskeys. I wander a bit, and You got the Welsh, you got the Irish whiskies, and then you've got the whiskies over here in Canada. You got some single malts in the States, and then there's the bourbons, and then there's the ryes, and so on and so on. So, anyways, oh boy. Really, with this drink, the water really, really amplifies the sweetness. And it's young. Well, kind of young. You know, when I taste this, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a 7-year-old and 12 balanced. I think they're balanced out because it's not a real, it doesn't taste like, I've tasted young whiskeys and it doesn't taste like it. It's, so my understanding, and was I did a lot of research on this, was the first batch was the 5s and the 6s, and the second batch was the 7s and so on, and of course the 12 and vatted with the 12s and the 13s. So, but yeah, the nose is a lot of honey, and a bit of the lemon still, and I said Manuka. But the caramel notes are now coming through, which I wasn't so much picking up before. So we're getting the caramel and the toffee. Okay, the palate with water. Well, it's doing exactly what I was actually expecting it to do. It's amplifying that honey. It is a lot of honey and caramel. And a wee bit of the lemon still there. A little bit of the cinnamon still there. Boy, it's even getting some spice happening here, but not sharp spices. These are more the baking spices again, so I'm going to stay with the baking spices there. It has it has a mellow side to it. This isn't a harsh drink for 50%. It's actually quite mellow. Is it complex? Not really. It's not a complex dram. It's a nice dram. I'm enjoying this, but it's not complex. This isn't layer upon layer upon layer. No. This might be a dram you have when you want to relax in the evening. It's kind of sort of, the bartender's malt was another one where it wasn't super complex, but it was a nice drink. That was the Octomore, eh? But what is interesting here is that no age statement. It's a young whiskey, but it doesn't taste so young, So I can see this being very popular. I can see it's priced well. I'm trying to remember what I paid, but it's not an expensive whiskey. So I'm gonna give this an 82 for a non-age statement. I'll say that it's definitely an 82. It's one of those whiskeys that you're going to end up buying it because it's just priced really well. and I will post the price. I forgot what it is. I just know it's really well priced. And you got to admit, that's a heck of a nice bottle. So anyways, we're going to make this a short one tonight, and I am going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, do not drink and drive. And until the next time, so much.